just get us to Cunningham Road, I could lose him. Stay down!
Whatever you say.
That's what I want. This is gonna be a hairy turn. Hang on. Rock all night, gonna blow this town.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
Actually, I was hearing something in the background. That's the looming sound of us not doing any Friday the 13th episodes for the past few years.
I thought you were going to say the big boom that we saw in listens from our hot take episode on Scream 7.
Yeah, no, I don't know anything about that. No.
In fact, I think Barry Weiss is so annoyed by it in the Ellisons, it might be on the news on like Good Morning America or something.
Could be. Yeah, she's probably mad. No. We're coming up on Friday 13th this time, right? And we've talked about this before, but the last time we really didn't do any Friday 13th episodes. And it's been a really long time since we've actually done any Friday the 13th episodes whatsoever. So we've kind of gone through this before as well, but we started our series of Friday the 13th episodes with the J Movie Talk podcast, who had asked us to do Friday the 13th 1 through 3 for their celebration of Friday the 13th. So, we generally don't do multi-film episodes, but in that case, we made a little, exclusion for it, and we did a multi-episode, which was difficult actually, because we really do try to take a long time to talk about all the things that are in the movie. And so it was really hard to try to like manage a multi-film episode such as that, and do a good job with each film. But we did it. So, and I believe that's still up on the J Movie Talk podcast. So you should definitely go and check that out and, listen to it. And you can get caught up on our first 3 episodes for the Friday 13th series. And then after that, we did 4 and 5. I think we just did them randomly, like when there was a Friday the 13th or something, we managed to do them. And 5 was like, what, 2 or 3 years ago, I think?
I think 3 years ago, almost now.
The historian would know, but I think,
which feels also like we just did that episode like yesterday, which also shows how, really old we're getting.
Oh, really? It feels like we just did it, huh?
In my head.
I don't know. Not for me. It's been a while. I don't really remember it well either. So
I don't remember like the episode that much, but I feel like I just watched that film not that long ago.
Oh, I see.
Like 4, I don't really remember. Like that does feel like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But 5, I feel like, oh yeah, I remember doing that not that long ago.
No, I feel you. Yeah, I agree. I can see that being, an outlier, especially because if I remember correctly, I don't know if we really loved part 5 that much. I don't know if we had like a great amount of things to say about it, but,
Well, not only that, I have always been since the beginning not a big Friday the 13th fan. I don't care. I don't care for the movies, and I think they're just a bunch of horrible schlock. I don't understand why they got popular, and I've seen most of them, but I don't like have anything like nice or wonderful to really say about them, because it's like the bottom of the totem pole, and it just like surprises me that money keeps spurting on it. So
it does and it doesn't. I mean, again, we were talking about a franchise that really hasn't come back that much in the most recent years. However, we do keep discussing potentially a new TV series for the Friday the 13th series. And that's kind of going back, I think, to like it's trying to give a little origin story of Jason again, I guess. I don't know. However, again, I feel like that's still been, I don't know. It's been in the works for a long time, and I don't know with all the rights issues that we're ever going to get anything from Friday the 13th. There's just so many rights issues, and I think that's like telling of why we don't have very many new Friday the 13th movies, is because they just don't want to deal with the rights that go along with it. It's very difficult. Like, because we were talking about that on the Screen episode, the way that some of these franchises could just be, money makers. They could just be printing money out if they were to come out with new movies in the franchise, because it's just such a, it's such a prospect, and it's got a cult following that you could just print money from making them, as long as you do it right the first time, because like we talked about too, there is that potential that you could pull a Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends and really destroy the amount of goodwill that the audience has for your movies. So,
well, see, the problem with that was they made the money, and then collectively over at Blumhouse, they had a Rian Johnson moment where they're like, well, I can do anything and make it like it's going to be this wonderful auteur thing. And then everyone's like, that's not what we want.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It is funny to think about when you do think about like all these properties that are so, capitalized on and produced, and like its brand and all, like, again, like the idea, especially like Screams, like the past couple of Screams, like 6 and 7, it's not even about Ghostface, it's about the brand. And to think about like half the people that they have writing or directing these things, like they have no interest at all in the shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I thought it'd be really cool that like Superman won't have a cape and he'll kill people. Yeah. And it's just, I'm not saying that happened. I'm just saying it's just funny, the disconnect, and trying to make it something else. But that's besides the point. Anyway, we're doing Friday the 13th Part 6.
Yes,
I was going on a tangent. I got to cut myself off.
Tangent there.
Yeah,
but,
Jason Lives.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't think I've seen this one before.
Oh, okay. So we're getting into. Well, actually, I should say, out of the ones that we covered previously, how many had you seen before?
I had seen, I think previously, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. I'd have to re-listen to the episodes. I think I've seen the first, the second. Jason Goes to Manhattan, and Jason X. I think those are the ones that I had seen, because those are like, I like the ones that I like caught on TV. There was a point in the mid 2000s, can't remember which channel it was, but somebody was playing Jason X on like fucking repeat. So it was like FX or something. So you could, it was inescapable, and
And I guess, and then also, so we mentioned the title, but how much of a I guess a celebrator are you of Friday the 13th, the quote unquote holiday, or the maybe not holiday, it's a strong word. It's not a federal holiday. No one's making you take off work, but the occasion. How about that? The occasion of Friday the 13th. Are you a superstitious man? Are you, is this something that you avoid ladders or something? Or something like in the what is it? The Hey Arnold episode, I think, of the bad luck Hey Arnold episode.
Well, there's that, and also that is a good episode, yes, but also the Rocco episode where Filbert opens up the fortune cookie that says bad luck and misfortune will plague your pathetic soul for all eternity. And then all this like bad luck and like the black cat's under a ladder and all this crap happens. And he's like, I'm a lucky guy. I'm a lucky guy. It's funny. No, I don't care. That it means nothing to me. So.
Gotcha. Well, I don't either. I don't really care. You know, it's not something. And again, too, this is a thing that I have struggled with is that a lot of times when Friday the 13th is coming up, I don't even know what's coming up. Like, you know, it used to be something, and I don't know if you've seen, but there's like a whole Reddit that's just like, is it Friday the 13th today? And it's just, you know, every day is no. And then there's that, you know, the one time in the blue moon where you get a Friday the 13th. It's like, yes. That's just a funny little nonsense subreddit, but
we're too busy looking at videos that have set up. So yes, Ronald Reagan is still dead.
That's right. Yeah, but no, I'm not a Friday 13th enjoyer or someone who really goes out of the way on Friday 13th. It's just another day for me. But I do try to watch the Friday 13th movies at least sometimes on Friday 13th. And as I was saying, you know, in a previous episode, this occasion of Friday 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, gave me the ability to watch the movie that I bought on Blu-ray. I bought the whole Friday the 13th box set collection on Blu-ray when Scream Factory released it. It was probably $200. And I didn't really watch many of them. I haven't really even taken them out of the cases. I did do screenshots and everything, but I didn't really watch them. So it gave me the occasion to actually watch it and enjoy my Blu-ray that I have sitting on the shelf up there, which is nice. But yes, Part 6 is Jason Lives, and I think that's something that comes up in the movie quite a bit because, as we talked about in the last episode of with Part 5, that one does not have Jason in it. Jason that's always been the kind of the standout difference in the series, especially considering with like Part 1, Friday the 13th, is not Jason. It's his mother. And then, Part 5 is not Jason either. It's it's Roy. And so I think actually the idea is kind of sound. It's like, it's sort of like they tried to pull a Halloween there and get away from the idea.
I was just going to say it's their Halloween 3 season of the witch, but it's missing Tom
but a lot
Atkins.
safer, right? It's a lot safer than Season of the Witch, because Season of the Witch was like fuck everything else that came before. We're just going to go a completely different direction. At least in that film, it treats it as though it's basic. It's effectively Jason and everything but name, and the blue mask. And here, again, I don't know, I can't quite remember. I haven't read reviews at the time, or if people were effectively doing their, complaints on Twitter about, from the 80s, obviously. So not Twitter, but like writing in letters to the editor or, writing into Fangoria. Like,
I was just supposed to say, you gotta check your 85, Fangoria and see.
That's right.
What,
yeah. Yeah. That Part 5 was shit because it didn't have a real Jason in it. And it was obvious that it wasn't real Jason. I don't know if that's true, but Part 6 is trying to be a return to form, right? That's obvious from the fact that it's called Jason Lives. And, they were like, all right, maybe this didn't work out. We need to bring the supernatural mythic beast back. And I think that's very apparent as you watch the movie, and we'll talk about that. But I did just want to set out the fact that Part 6 is a very unserious movie. It is over the top, silly, and it seems to know that it's being all of those things. In some ways, it signals it from the very beginning. And so I think as we talk about the movie, we do need to take it in a different context, in that this is very much more of a tongue-in-cheek, like, let's get back to the basics of what worked with Friday the 13th movies, or what seemed to work for most people, which is just camp counselors getting slaughtered in creative and gratuitous fashion. So again, you've already mentioned you've never really seen Part 6, didn't really stand out to you. Before we talk about the actual movie itself, though, What are how do you feel about it in the midst of the other sequels that we've already covered? What does it stand out to you? Does it seem better or worse than you remember the sequels before we actually, don't give specifics, but better or worse than what you remember the other movies?
See, I can't because I don't want to spoil that.
Oh, okay. All right. You don't even want to talk about.
I don't want
give even a little tidbit in the intro.
No, I don't even. I don't want to.
All right, then. You know what? Let's just move on. Let's go to the beer talk. Okay, that led nowhere. All right, let's go to the beer talk. We'll switch to that because we got a lot to talk about with the movie. So we'll just switch over to beer talk real quick. Get back to the movie at hand where we can actually dive in. So on today's show, we actually have a special treat. It's one that we wanted to save for today. We went to Fidens Brewing Company, which at this point I think has become a pretty big name, even outside of upstate New York. A lot of people do know it by name, know it by sight, probably know it by the classic logo, maybe not so much the new one. We're not even going to go there. We're not going to touch that. But we did go to Fidens last Friday for a new release drop, and we enjoyed a few beers and we had some food there. We hadn't been there in a while. It's been a little bit since new management took over and sort of enshittified some of the things about it that people liked a lot, and I think they're moving away from that again. But
oh my god, on their website we can get it shipped to our house.
Yeah, you can do that now in New York State, but it's going to be like a $20 surcharge for the shipping, so it's almost not worth it. It's an hour drive for us, but yes, in New York State, if you do live in New York State, you can get it shipped. You can. Expensive, but you can get it shipped. And now they only sell 4-packs too, so you can only get 4-packs. They're very expensive.
They should just let you have the option.
I agree, but I don't run a brewery, so I don't know.
I know, but still, just be like, hey, you haven't had that Jasper yet,
It's true. Throw in an additional one for $6 is what I would do. Like, if you make them order at least one 4-pack, but then you're like, add a single for another $6 or something, something like that. But I don't run a brewery, so I don't know the logistics. Maybe there was some like exceptional costs involved with having singles.
Just don't stop trying to defend them.
But anyway, we went there. We had a nice time, and we brought home a 4-pack to have on the show, which is a newer beer that I don't think it was for the release because they'd had it out before, but it is one that we'd never had before, and it is part of their new lineup of beers that they've been making since that changeover, because it has the new label and the new logo and everything else, which some of the classic beers don't have yet. So this one's called A Murder of Crows. It kind of goes along with the Fidens' new seeming obsession with birds. Because they have a couple of new releases too with Troon, with the Bird Wildlife Foundation, and they have like owls on the cans and stuff. So someone's going through a bird obsession as we get into the spring season. Put a bird on it, and it works. It truly does. Before they put flowers on it, and that's probably a Portlandia's thing as well. Just throw some flowers on it. But now they're putting birds on it. So anyway, it works. And this one's called A Murder of Crows. Very moody looking can artwork. Very as you'd expect from a name like A Murder of Crows.
Which is ruined by their new logo.
It's true. The new logo is not great.
I mean, the can, I do love the can. I'm going to keep it and get it added to the collection. But it's just funny because like the old logo would be fine. But now with the new one and it's big, bold, like it just was like, Fidens Brewing Company. Like I just read it in Andy Richter voice. Like, blood, the last vampire.
You have to wonder, too, how much they actually end up saving by making a label that has a fucking axe cut out of it. Like, that itself seems like it would be obnoxiously expensive to just, yes, it's a cool idea, cool design.
Oh, I just know. Wow. Hey, yeah, that's
like,
I just noticed that.
Ordering the labels and being like, we got to stick them on here just right to make the axe. And like, that seems like really annoying overall.
Maybe they come with an axe on there.
Yeah.
And they peel it off, but
Yeah, that's the thing. It just
I
seems
just
like
noticed
so
that.
much
So,
more,
so thank you
so
for
much
that,
more involved now. Like nice touch, but very involved. Anyway, to the beer at hand. This is a triple IPA, 10.5%.
Yeah.
And it's a really solid beer. From the New England style variety, the haziness that Fidens is really known for. I think it is, like a lot of people started to talk about, did quality at Fidens go down because of the new management and the new changeovers and stuff? If this is a new beer, I wouldn't really say the quality's gone down. I think it tastes still really good. This has Citra, Mosaic, and Matuka hops.
They got the
What?
Matuka.
You get the Matuka?
I say, yeah, big
Matuka. I will say that again, that I've been feeling quite a bit. We got a couple new beers there. I'm really having a hard time sometimes distinguishing the difference between a lot of them in terms of taste. Yes, you can taste somewhat of a different hop varietal, but I do have a lot of times it really boils down to, is it very citrusy? Is it very haze forward? Is it very rosiny? Rosiny. And for most part with the Fidens beers of all of these, it's check. You've got it all. And at a certain point, I do think that all the hop varietals and all the beers that they're making, again, it sort of blends into like, they're all really good. They're all, they really have this nice pillowy mouthfeel, very, hop forward, very flavorful and hazy, but still staying kind of samey, especially because a lot of them do use the same varietal of hops. And a lot of times you'll see maybe just one or two changes to the type of hops that are used. So I'm not saying, I think A Murder of Crows is really great. It has a very strong bodied flavor to it. It certainly does taste like a triple IPA. It's on the sweeter side. Definitely feels very hop forward, very hazy and very delicious. Just kind of blends in with some of their other releases, in my opinion. How about you?
No, I like it a lot. And as you know, if you listen to our show and the episodes that we have done any Fidens on, especially at NIPA, I mean, they're always great. And I would say when people were talking about, has the quality gone down, it's like the one thing that I would say during the new transition that's been going on now for like 2.5 years. No, the beer quality has never dropped. I do like it a lot. I think it's very good, just like all their other hazies, but as in triples and such. But as you were saying too, there is a sameness quality to having them, especially I think if you're drinking them on your own, like, after, just, it doesn't like it doesn't like make something feel new. It's not is it a bad thing? It depends on like whether or not you appreciate the style. Because again, it's like the same thing a lot of people would say about Sloop. We love Sloop. We do it all the time out here. But you know what? A Sloop Hazy IPA is a Sloop Hazy IPA. Doesn't matter what label they throw on it. They had the same hops and slight differences to them. I don't know the nuances to like the flavors. Maybe some asshole who went to school for it could sit around and be yes.
Yeah.
But I do like it a lot. I think it's really good. It's got a big blood orange taste to it. You get a big hit of pine, a lot of rosin at the end. Very tastes like you got the rosin bag right in your mouth.
Yeah.
But it's, as you said, nice pillowy body, very hazy. If you pour it, it looks like orange juice with a lot of pulp. But I like it. Like I said, if you like those beers, you're gonna like this. So, if you're in the area, check them out, because not a lot of places make this level of quality of IPA, snipers, and triples. So,
right, yeah, no, they're still doing a great job. I mean, I'm not concerned with their quality going down.
Yeah.
I think that it's still very high.
And I like too now that they're more experimental, at least at the on tap. Like when I was there, when we went there on Friday, last Friday. Not only you get food, but also too like first beer I ordered, I didn't get like a big IPA. They had a cream ale. You don't ever do fucking cream ale, so it's like I gotta try their cream ale, and it's like, yeah, that's damn good cream ale. Yeah. So they're still trying new things and stuff. And the food was good. I got fried gnocchi.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan got a nice smash burger.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah. They don't have the arcade machines anymore, so I can't beat my nephew at NBA Jam mercilessly. So anymore. So I'm very upset about that. Fix that, and you'll get the 10 out of 10 Fidens. Yeah, check them out. We've done a shit ton of episodes of their beer, so
that's right. All right, so let's talk Friday 13th Part 6. Jason Lives Now. Part 6.
Wait, or is it
with the?
Is it Jason? Movies. I was gonna say, or is it Jason Lives Friday the 13th Part 6?
No, I don't think it's stylized like that.
It is on the poster and in the
I mean, I guess it could be either.
And on the title card
it's
too.
Very undetermined what the official title is. So, as we discussed, this is sort of, I mean, it's pretty clear immediately when the film picks up that the movie is really going to give Jason front and center and get him back to doing the things that he does, which is murdering people, because the opening finds Tommy, who, in part 5 was in a mental institution, which again, I think we talked about it in that episode, but like really poorly contrived mental institution to bring a guy back to a place where there's basically another camp near Crystal Lake. That's like, it's just not a good fit for him, considering his past trauma. But in this in this film, it finds Tommy, at least at the beginning of the movie, like rushing to where he knows Jason's been buried from part 4. And, he's thinking about how he murdered him and killed him and he should be dead in his grave. So he opens up the grave and lo and behold, there's a moldering Jason in the grave. And, sort of the first...
Good use... good use of moldering.
That's right. I listen to death metal. So I have a great... a great handle on all things decaying and dead. And so, again, I think that this idea is kind of interesting that, oh, wait a second, we were able to kill Jason. When they said it was, the final chapter, they were right. Mm-hmm. Jason was dead. And the thing that brings about Tommy's downfall is that he can't just leave well enough alone. At this opening sequence, even before the title card hits, you get Tommy opening the grave, and there's this electric shock from the lightning that's happening, the lightning storm that's going on, and it signals this idea that, like, hey, in this world, Frankenstein's revivification model of lightning to a lightning rod in a dead body, it actually works. Like, it's not crazy science. It's just that's just how everything happens in this movie.
Didn't that also happen to Michael Myers in 5?
Yeah, probably.
Or is it 4?
I can't even remember. Yeah. One of those. It just works, okay? It's just, horror movie
science.
Yeah.
It's the techno babble.
Exactly.
What's great too is he's doing it with like his orderly. I don't know if it is, but like Tommy's just got some friend like, go open up Jason's coffin, see what's going on. And the fact too that they gave Jason even he gave the town of Crystal Lake so much guff that they had to rename the town to something else. And, but they still buried him in the cemetery and not like, firing his ashes on a rocket up into space or something. Right. So,
I know. Yeah.
And you would think too, maybe it'd be like an unmarked grave. Like, why? Like,
no. They needed to give him like proper burial and everything. They're like, this is
the Reagan era. Can't have, these, satanic things going on.
But I do like this opening because it does signal this like almost ridiculous way that the film is going to keep going through its, the progress of this movie, which is, it's not really well established in reality. It's sort of a goofy movie that knows that it is, and even like from the very beginning, when you get that like sort of James Bond-esque opening with Jason like turning, to the camera in his own eye and then slicing, in a James Bond style.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like how bad the blood looks being sliced in the credit sequence. I love that too. It looks like almost looks like a rag or something that's like being thrown against the credits. But yeah, the film really seems to know what kind of franchise that it's in, especially by the sixth film in the franchise. And I think it leans into that. I think that it makes a conscious decision. And again too, it probably helps to have a writer director who is, knows what he's going for and is completely fine with leaning into that, because Tom McLaughlin both writes and directs this movie, which is not super common for a Friday the 13th movie or a horror movie in general. Most of the time in these sorts of franchises, you might have a staff writer come in and just be like, hey, can you rip us off a new, sequel in this series? And they would come in and do it, and, they have a specific director in mind or somebody that they, has been trying to come up through the ranks, and they give it to him. In this case, it's kind of interesting that Tom McLaughlin, they brought in, and they just, he kind of is able to do both writing and directing credits. And I think it makes sense when you see how the film plays out, that it's very tongue-in-cheek. It really leans into this very, very unserious. What did you say?
I said campy and cartoony.
Yeah,
like
I think
like
it's
very like Looney Tunes, Tex Avery style,
Yeah.
Like,
and what do you think about that? Like, do you think that works for the movie?
That's the best part. This is like the definition. This is why I didn't want to show my hand.
Okay.
This film is the definition of schlock that works.
Mm-hmm.
It's schlock.
Mm-hmm.
It knows it's schlock. It's not trying to be anything other than schlock, and it leans into it, and it leans into it into a good way, so you're having fun. Like, is this a good movie? No.
Yeah.
But it is incredibly fun. It makes everything into like a nice joke. And the fact that it's, compared to like something like Friday the 13th Part 5, where it's like, it comes off as schlocky and campy for the wrong reasons. Here, you can tell they're really leaning into it.
Yeah.
Because like, it's not just like stupid jokes and then like a brutal death. Like, somebody gets their head slammed into a tree and killed, and it makes a smiley face, so, no, this is the best part, that the film is like cohesive enough to know what it is and what it wants to be, and it actually makes it a incredibly fun film to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that the film's lean in is something that some of the other movies in the franchise are missing, right? A lot of them really do try to take it, as seriously as you can, with a supernatural being running around with a machete. It's so again, there's always that level of campiness, but I do think for the most part, the movies themselves take themselves pretty seriously. Whereas I think Part 6 is really open to just experimenting with a more comical approach. And I think one of the things that stands out to me about Part 6 too is that it's not really trying very hard to deviate from a very particular formula that doesn't even really try to develop characters that well. It's almost like there's very little plot to this. The pitch is basically Jason comes back to life, terrorizes another, area of the town. We've got more camp counselors, and Tommy's running around, and the sheriff is obsessed with him being the culprit here, and that's about it. Like, and again, another part of that the film leans into is that, if fans have been following the series so far, you already know who Tommy is. So the film doesn't really need to actively develop Tommy because you've already seen him in 2 other movies. So it sort of uses that idea like we don't need to do any character development, even though this guy is a different Tommy than the last Tommy. Like it doesn't matter. We're still gonna just like pretend this is the Tommy that you know from all these other movies, and you know we won't develop him. And so the only thing that the film focuses on is Jennifer Cooke's character Megan, who, you know, again, is sort of this very stereotypical, sultry,
Harlot.
a harlot type character who is, you know, effectively like, I'm not daddy's little girl anymore. You know, my dad wants me to be a nice little, you know, lady, and I'm not.
Being a whore is what got mom killed. Some say it was, you know, the guy she was fucking with. Others say it was my dad in anger.
And it's funny because it's almost like this film is leaning into the opposite of this idea of the sex-crazy teens that are murdered in slashers. You know, I mean, that still happens to a certain extent because we do get that one sequence of the 2 teens having sex in the camper. You know, to some song. I don't even know what that song was, but apparently it's 10 minutes long. So the idea of sex
never stood a chance of lasting 10 minutes.
No, that's right. So the idea of sex being part of the scope of being murdered by Jason is not out of the question, but it does sort of bring up another avenue that, you know, she is a very capable person who is also somewhat sex crazed in this movie, and she ends up being okay. You know, it's not the usual final girl that you would get from a slasher movie in most scenarios.
The problem is that, like, she's like, of course she's too sex crazy. She drives a Camaro.
Yeah.
The only thing she's missing is like blasting 38 special out of that, like, or Molly Hatchet.
I don't know. They do have Alice Cooper playing quite a bit.
That's not the same. That's not the same.
No?
You need one of like the bands of the 3-headed monster. Molly Hatchet, 38 Special, or the Georgia Satellites.
How about the David Bowie record that you see in the background there?
I did. You know what? I know you said be on the lookout. I didn't see.
Oh, you didn't even catch it. Yeah, no, I didn't. It's in that one scene where the 2 women, the camp counselors, are they're talking about this one like very convoluted card game they want to play, where it's like, well, we're gonna make Jason be the Jokers, and then the camp counselors are the queen. I'm the queen. And then the little kids are like the number cards. Is like I can't even follow right now. How are you expect to play this game? Love it. But yeah,
that's where they need Crispin Glover to come out and show them how to play.
Exactly. I do think that like I like this idea though, is like trying to circumvent the usual final girl. And actually, it really does seem like Jennifer Cooke is having a really good time playing Megan. Like she can't even stop smirking in every scene. It's just she has this sort of like shit-eating smirk that she's like up to no good, and I like that. You know, I think it adds like a fun. Again, how many movies can you watch where a person is, you know, like your standard, very typical final girl who's like so unfun and so serious, and you're just like, can you just like have fun, let loose for a second? You know, I think that the idea
that's a different movie.
Yeah, I think that the idea of having this more open and sexually aggressive final girl is an interesting idea. And like there's no better scene than when you have her stuffing Tommy's head into her crotch when they're driving away from a roadblock, and she's like, oh yeah, that's what I like. And then says, oh, and then like with a straight face
he tries to pop his head up, and she shoves it down.
She's like there's a hairy turn up ahead, and I was like, oh my god, what kind of lingo are we using here? It's great. But I like that. It is, again, I think the film leans into this comedic sense, and like you even said, you know, you can definitely see, you know, they don't use it, but you can definitely see sort of like the Three Stooges-esque, or even like the Looney Tunes style, like background music being played to some of the things that are happening, and it wouldn't really be out of place.
All the film is missing is like Jason going, when he gets like hit with something, like, oh no.
And I mean, they even kind of like Tom McLaughlin is almost he's in on the joke too, because like the first that one part where they bring in the paintballers, and there's like this literal like boom 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 boom, like sort of like very goofy trombone music in the background as they're traipsing through the woods on a corporate retreat. It's again it knows
who's
that
going
it's
on paintball for a corporate retreat.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like this is the thing that they routinely do, but yeah, I don't. This is before they had these sort of islands that island retreats that people
that you would disappear to. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of such a thing. I'm not high enough in corporate to have ever participated.
You need to put more time into your LinkedIn profile. That's why you haven't like made enough connections on LinkedIn for you to be.
I haven't been able to do a trust fall into my boss's arms.
I do. I do love that. They're like, oh, it's just a man's game. This is more that the lady shoots him, and it's like the CEO or member of the board, and she's like, "Buck up, stop being such a bitch." And he's just sitting there like, "Fucking women ruin this game," like he's just pouting and bitching, and she's like 2 feet behind him, like still like, "Yeah, you may have beat me, but you're still a stupid bitch. You should be home making me a sandwich, but I can get you." And then.
I think the other thing too that this film gets right is the whole idea that the sheriff is just some very surly and asshole type figure that is ready to blast anyone's head off that walks into the office. The first part when Tommy runs into the sheriff's office and he's got his gun like cocked and loaded, ready to shoot anybody. It's like, this is a public office, man. What are you doing? Like, ready to shoot anybody that walks through the door.
That's Ron Jeremy's brother playing this sheriff.
That's what I said. I mean, I don't know this actor.
He has like the hair,
David
the
Hagen.
exact hair. Yeah, he's got the hair and the mustache that would look like, who are you? Oh, I'm Ron's brother. I'm Terry.
It would not have surprised me to see his IMDb and see like listed as alternate names him in, 80s porn. He definitely looks like the type of guy is like, CEO, but he's looking for more. He's definitely the whole mustache and sort of like, he's got like a male pattern baldness going on there, but still trying to keep that long mullet in the back. He has that very particular 80s porn star look, but alas, he didn't do 80s porn. He's only done he did like a lot of or not a lot of, but he's done some soap operas because he was in 10 episodes of General Hospital, and he was also an arson investigator in The Young and the Restless, but done a lot of TV. You're right. It's great though. I love the look. And I love the way that it gets the sheriff right. Like he's just so unnecessarily standoffish about everything. Like and it's especially how he comes to the conclusion, like, even after his daughter's like, those camp counselors are cut up into multiple pieces. What time was that? It was about 8:50. Well, at 8:50, Tommy was with me, so it couldn't have been him. And he's like, put him in jail anyway. I don't care about facts and time frames. This is great. It's like this is one of the things that the film gets accurate.
He did not go to the John Saxon School of how to be a good cop.
That's right. But the movie does have a lot of references to horror stuff. Like his name is Sheriff Garris, right? So Mick Garris. The one gas station is called Karloff's. Something merchant use or something like that. And Tommy's like, I don't know, it's something like Karloff's station or something. It's like, yeah, no wonder you can't remember that name. It doesn't even make sense. So now people would accuse an AI of making that name up. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
I'm pretty sure that's the same general. I'm pretty sure it's the same general store that's on Randy Travis's first album, Storms of Life.
That's right. That's right.
that Randy's standing in front of.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's one thing I miss and love. Sorry to interrupt, but that's one thing I miss and love is like in 80s movies, these like gas stations from a bygone era.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, whether they're in business or not, and you think about it, and it's like, man, like how many of those were actually still around? Like, like.
Yeah, where you just have a guy wringing his hands into a handkerchief because he's just, done some random oil change or something at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
I love those in movies too. And it's like, what is this small town mechanic doing out here at 4:00 in the morning, just randomly working on cars for some reason? Love it.
Yeah, your radiators. Man.
There's and again too, this movie, I don't know if this is like rose-colored glasses, but watching a movie like this from the 80s is sort of refreshing because again, this movie's 87 minutes long. It's not here to sell you some ridiculous plot line, right? It recognizes what it's doing. It's a fucking movie about a fucking supernatural guy who is chopping camp counselors up for no reason. And there's no real, again, too, the film kind of almost forgets that it's set at like a Camp Crystal Lake style camp. It doesn't even really try to explain that. It's just like, yeah, the lake's over there somewhere, It's like, because at this point in the movie series, 6 movies in, you're around Crystal Lake.
Who's the asshole selling that, Camp Crystal Lake to somebody?
Yeah, we're going to call it Camp Forest Green now.
And then also, too, letting, these teens who are suspect of age, I'm going to guess, 16 to 18,
mm-hmm.
but, and then they're overseeing 5-year-olds and stuff.
It sounds like an insurance company's
nightmare.
No, actually.
Or wet dream.
It depends. Yeah, it depends. Is it the camp insurance company? Because they're going to be shitting bricks, but if it's the... if it's the other person's insurance company, they're like, we got a case here. We've got a, kid goes missing, kid drowns. It's pretty easy to pin it on unsuspecting camp counselors who are...
I do love that they have, these just unwitting kids just like, yeah, I saw a scary man over there. And then, they just keep going back to it. And because it's still the 80s, so, Jason's not going to murder the kids. But, they're constantly, in the background, and is he dead?
Yeah.
Oh, this really is going to come. The best line is when they're hiding from Jason under the bed, the boys are, and this one kid goes to the other, so what did you want to be when you grow up? I was dying laughing. It's like, oh shit, we're gonna die. So what you want to be when you grow up?
yeah, it's just, and again, like you said, there's really no danger to them, and it sort of keeps them outside of the day. And like I was saying to you off air, the film has to kind of keep cutting back to the kids to make sure that you even remember you're at camp. Because a lot of it actually takes place outside of camp. It takes place either at the sheriff's station or on the roads around it or something like that. Not a lot of it is actually at camp. So the film constantly has to check in with the kids like, yep, they're still there. We're still at camp here, even though it's not really a big facet of the movie at that point. Which, again, I think makes sense because how often can you have Jason keep going back to a camp? It's just, it gets old. I think that they're doing what they can to really offset that. And I think the movie does a pretty good job of trying to live outside of the normal franchise stereotypes. It's, again, like I said, it's not really trying hard to be a different type of story. It's just effectively Jason comes back and he's just murdering people. And it recognizes, what do you want to see? You want to see Jason doing ridiculous stunts and killing people in over-the-top ways that you haven't seen before. So here's the sheriff getting broken in half, like Bane, with Batman. He's just, breaking his back and literally, turning him into a mattress.
Just imagine Jason, I almost break the back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or twisting a woman's neck all the way around until her head pops off. And it's just these really outlandish things that, the film recognizes this is what you want to see, the murders and violence and we're not going to waste a lot of time on doing character stuff. What do you think about Harry Manfredini's soundtrack? This man has been around. They use him throughout the Jason, the Friday the 13th franchise for.
It's all over the place. It's like a mix of like, the Jeff, pop, Jeff. And then like Flight of the Bumblebees, like
it's certainly not as atmospheric as the earlier Jasons, right? Like it's not like you said, it does have the but it doesn't like use that as sort of like this moody build. It's more just like this MIDI synth thing that he's got going on, and I said it sounds like Mannheim Steamroller, outside of Christmas time. If Mannheim Steamroller is like, it's very animated, and again, I think it works. And not only that, but it also uses a pretty like a hard rock soundtrack because it's got a lot of Alice Cooper in it.
Yeah, half the songs are just Alice Cooper tracks. It's just funny to think of in hindsight because when the kids are having sex and it's that Alice Cooper song, I was like, oh, geez. And you're like, yeah, that was Alice Cooper. I'm like, was it really? And I was like, oh, geez. I'm like, he's just fucking everywhere in the mid-'80s when it comes to like horror films, whether on them or just giving music. Like, yeah, here's a song. My record deal says I have to do 2 songs a year. Here you go.
Yeah. What do you think about Jason?
Also, too, but they did lean in too with like the whole like teenage Frankenstein. So
that's
Jason is a teenage Frankenstein.
He literally is reanimated because of the way that he's brought back to life. I think, I mean, at least they lean into that theme. I think it's So I was gonna say, what do you think about Jason in this movie?
It's fun. Jason
bring back the way that you think of Jason, especially after like part 5, or is there a noticeable difference in how they are playing him?
No, it's a noticeable difference because like before, like the kills would be more brutal, and Jason, like I said, one of the reasons why I've never found like the movies to be that enjoyable is because I don't think Jason's that like interesting of a killer, because he's just a brick shit house that is this immovable object, an unstoppable force. So it doesn't really make the slasher part that, scary because, he's like getting shot 7 times and he's still fucking just plowing on through. Granted, here it would make a hell of a lot more sense if like this was the first film for that to happen because he's beneficially dead. And, God gave him that gift with the lightning, but he's fun. Like it's fun. I don't think like Jason has like his presence or characters really. I don't write anything into. I think more the fun kills that he commits and the variety of how he kills people here is what's fun about it. The slasher part, because like again, like I don't find Jason interesting as a slasher villain.
Yeah, and that's the thing too that I think actually works pretty well here is that the film's not really leaning into the horror element. Like it's not trying to make it scary. It recognizes that like seeing this hulking man just walk around breaking people is not necessarily scary in the same sense as like, an atmospheric spooky paranormal movie or something like that. So it's not even really trying that hard to make it creepy or scary. There's no like stalking really that you expect from like this sort of like the stalker lineage of slasher movies. It doesn't really lean into the POV perspective or anything. Instead, it shows Jason like a giant orangutan standing on a fucking blown up trailer. It's like it recognizes that that's not like the scariness is not really what's drawing people to Jason anymore. It's, it's the obvious fact that he's a supernatural being that can't be stopped, and it's just sort of fun to watch. And I think too, the idea like this Jason, again, there's been many people that played Jason, and one of like the most popular ones that you think of is Kane Hodder, but he played later in the actual series. And this one's C.J. Graham, who never did this Jason and no other ones. But I think again at the end of the day, in this movie, I don't think Jason actually has much of a character too much. Sometimes the movies try to imbue Jason with a certain personality or character based on how they show him. I don't really think this film even attempts it. It's just like, here's an entity, and he's just like running.
Let him go. Let him go. Cull everyone from the.
That's right. Yeah,
the picture.
It really doesn't try hard to do anything with that. Which again, I think is the right call. I think this movie has it leans into the right ideas, the stuff that really makes it work. I think, especially considering the fact that this is the 6th film in the series, I find it refreshingly fun to watch. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's nice truncated version of what you're expecting, and it does it pretty well. And there's not really much more that you can ask for, especially this late in the franchise. It just gives you more of what you want, and that's
which is funny to think about, because usually by the 6th film you're like, this franchise needs a 20-year break. You're just coming off of a new beginning,
right?
And like a year later, like here's 6, and it's like, wow, that's like what a fun rejuvenation this is. Like it's total breath of fresh air. But no, you're like you said. He's just there to be like the force. I don't have anything, I don't in the Jason being Jason like aspect for me, like you said, though. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Tommy has no one to blame but himself. If he just stayed in his good old sanitarium room, this never would have happened.
About this.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's his own fault for taking things into his own hands.
Who's worse? I mean, who worse or better? You decide. I'll let you figure that one out. Who's Tommy Jarvis or Dr. Loomis?
Yeah, I mean both. In some ways, goad on their enemies, right? I feel like Tommy is probably not as bad as Dr. Loomis. I mean, Tommy has trauma, and who knows? Like, what if the film had leaned into more of this idea of like, well, you know what? Tommy's a little bored right now. Like he feels like he has nothing to live for with no Jason, pursuing him. Sort of like that whole Zenigata Lupin thing of like, what if I didn't have my arch nemesis here? So I feel like
thank you. Just the reference. Just thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take the thank you.
I think Dr. Loomis is worse from that regard.
But he's older. He's older and more. He's older and more crazier. Like he's already been super driven mad. With the no, yeah, it's true. Trying to warn poor Paul Rudd of the evils that lie ahead, and Paul just sitting there with the Sierra Nevada. Like, I know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what do you think about the ending? Actually, we didn't talk about that, but where they bring Jason back to the lake, to where they basically call it his home. He's home now.
Well, okay, so it's a fun setup and like everything that happens, but first off, like Tommy goes, we have to bring him to the place where he died, Crystal Lake. He didn't die in Crystal Lake. He lived to drag a bunch of other fucking people underneath the water.
True.
So, flaw in your plan right there, asshole. 2, the man who's shrugging off bullets left and right, slugs and everything. Oh yeah, if I just put this fucking chain around him and this rock that looks like it could be a little heavy, it's not super heavy. Because if it was super heavy, the boat would be fucking sinking ass over tea kettle into the water. That's gonna do it. We're just gonna chain him and he's just gonna stay underwater like it's cement shoes. The idea is just preposterously stupid. I mean, granted, the film is preposterously stupid in a fun way. But like, it just seems so. I wasn't like, pissy about that. I was just like, yeah, really, that's kind of stupid. But like, I would like, doesn't take me out of the film because again, it's fun enough. But like, it is a stupid idea. And it's funny too because like the whole tension. He's like Tommy's like sitting on the boat and he's like holding, the chain, like kind of like going like, hey, fishy, 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 like the guy from Deuce Bigelow, like, hey, fishy, fishy, waiting for Jason. And like Jason like fucking, pranks him like 2 times and, is able to drag him underwater too. I just find it funny that Jason didn't break away from like is water like his kryptonite, like like I'm not powerful under here anymore. And also what makes that whole bit really funny too is the constant going back and checking with the kids, like Megan and the kids sitting there, like, oh, is he okay? Oh. And like Jason slowly walking towards Tommy because he's like, you want me? You like, and you think about it too. Like, why would Jason really be that give a shit about Tommy Jarvis? He's just a kid that like he didn't get to kill. Like, there's no like, I don't feel like. I mean, I can't remember the past like 4 and 3, but like, it just seems like what makes him special? It does nothing. So like, when Megan was yelling, he should have just snapped her neck and then chased after him or something. But it's fun enough and. Ends up with Tommy and Megan surviving and Jason being left to rot underwater. So, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting idea. I think, like, in terms of these types of movies, you're always kind of looking for a way to end the big bad, especially considering the fact that he's supernatural. So I think, like, chaining him to the bottom of the lake is an interesting idea that kind of works. Returning to the area that he died in, or at least where this all started. The chaining to the bottom of the lake is sort of like this nice, easy endpoint where it's like, he may not be dead, but at least he's stuck there, which I kind of like, the idea that like, you can't really kill him, but you can at least, slow him down for a while. So I think that makes sense because a lot of times you think about how do they try to end these movies where the killer's sort of supernatural is like, let's just blow them up. Just blow them up, They don't really rely on that. So I like that quite a bit. I think that makes sense to do that. And I like the fact too that it sort of reiterates some of the ideas from the original movie where it's like almost does the thing that you're expecting from the requels and reboots now, where it's like callbacks to the movie where, he jumps out of the lake into the boat and stuff like that. Kind of a nice, like, sort of precursor to the requels and stuff like that you get now. So I thought that was kind of interesting, especially considering I haven't seen this movie in a while. It's nice to watch it with fresh eyes and just kind of, take in what it does. I think it works pretty well. And again, for 87 minutes, it's sort of like a breath of fresh air compared to something like Scream, where it takes like, 2 hours to get to your, there was no 10-minute intro to preface the film that you already purchased. That's right. That's right. So,
no, it is. Like I said, it is. I just find it funny because it's like he's supernatural, but at the very end, all of a sudden, he's like just having a gentle tussle on the boat with Tommy, like not snapping his neck or anything. Like all of a sudden, like, oh no, I got water on me. I can't move. But no, it's
that's right.
All fine right. And fun enough in an ending.
So we gotta rate this movie.
Hold on.
Oh, you got one more thing. Okay.
Oh yeah. What'd you think of Dampy the Gravedigger?
He's great. I think that's a job that you should take on.
I know, fucking pounding scotch and sweat. I love the nice like alcohol sweats like on people like that. Like,
yeah, exactly. I think that it, like, again, he is the perfect example of like an 80s type movie. Cantankerous, gravekeeper. Would you think about somebody like that now? Not really.
No.
But like in the 80s, yeah, you could see a guy who's just standing around in the graveyard digging graves.
Well, you think about it, like I felt like that was like a nice homage to John Carpenter's Christine, because this is kind of like the same with the guy who's I mean, it wasn't a graveyard, but like tending the dead body of that nice Plymouth.
But I think it's good. Was there anything else before we rate?
I think that's good enough.
Okay. So on a scale of 0 to 10, lemon lime brews. What the fuck is that? Lemon lime brews.
I'm glad you did that, because I was going to say, if you didn't say that, I was going to make it correct you and say this is the actual.
It is a soda. It really is. It was a thing. It was a...
Really?
Yeah. Lemon lime brews. Or brus. I don't know how you say it, to be honest with you. I'm guessing it's brews. Like a cheeky way of spelling brew. But yeah, it's an actual thing. It was a thing.
Holy shit! Why?
If you look it up, you can buy an empty can on eBay and stuff like that. But it was an 80s lemon lime drink that you could get back in the day. It was. I'm trying to find.
Oh, it's of the lemon lime soda of Scandinavia.
Yeah. I've never heard of such a thing before, but apparently it was a thing. So, very interesting. But yeah, it stands out in this movie because it's just like, where did that come from?
The one shot of it,
She's like,
that. I would say out of all the children, the things they brought to camp, that and the basket of fucking radishes and parsnips
Turnips,
and beets, turnips. Funny to think about, here's the paper towels, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to make a nice 8th century English soup. It's just nothing but every root vegetable you could think of. So, I got my rutabaga, got my parsnips, and we're gonna get to go.
That's right. So, what'd you give Jason Lives?
Friday the 13th. Give it a 13. I'm just
13 out of 10.
I give it a 7. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. I was pleasantly surprised by this film. Breath of fresh air. It's the schlocky, campy film that, that succeeds at that. It knows what it's trying to be. It knows it's that. It leans into that, and it's successful in that. This film, like I said, is it a good movie? No, but it's fun. I think whether you're a slasher fan, a horror fan, a Friday the 13th fan, things that, in some ways I'm not, you can have fun with this. It knows what it is. It's fast-paced, really, just flat enjoyable. So, like I said, 7 out of 10. Pleasantly surprised by the whole process. I'm sad this is going to be the only film in the franchise like that.
I would give it a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. I think it's a
Wow! Look at you being ungenerous.
Yeah. I think it's a good movie. Again, I think there's a limit to these types of films. Again, even saying that from a horror fan, I think that you can only give it a certain rating that, again, you can't offset it with I also gave, one as, a much better movie, a 7 out of 10, just because I found this one fun. Again, though, the ratings are pretty arbitrary. So
hold on. I was going to say, hold on. How dare you? Our ratings are as ironclad and stone cold as anything.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I have a hard time giving it any higher, but I do think that it's a really fun movie and probably one of the better movies in the Friday the 13th franchise, I think. It certainly leans, we've talked about throughout this episode, it leans into this idea that the film doesn't have to be, serious and, really stick to its horror roots. It can be fun and comical and lean into this idea that Jason is sort of this unserious thing that kind of exists outside of reality and not really have to play by reality's rules that much. So I like that. I think that it works really well. I think that it is, again, coming off of something like The New Beginning. I think that it knows what it wants to do. It doesn't want to just present another film like that where it kind of doesn't go with Jason. It wants to really get back to basics of what Jason is. And I think that that's the strong suit of this movie. It's just, it doesn't really have much to make up for. It just is what it is. It's happy to be what it is. And it's a really fun movie that really, I think, harkens back to this really great time in the 80s where movies were just kind of fun. You just watch them for entertainment value. And I think also, too, one thing that stands out to me is it has this really nice atmosphere to it of like what you consider a horror movie, like the very, very stereotypical idea of a horror movie, like, thunderstorms and, leaves blowing around and stuff like that. It just has like this very nostalgic feel of what a horror movie should feel like. And I think it works pretty well. So I'm going to give it like a 6.5, 7 out of 10. I think it's a really fun movie. One of the best in the Friday 13th franchise. If I had to go back to a Friday 13th movie again and watch it for Friday 13th, Part 6 is probably one of the ones I would choose. So really fun. All right. So that's our episode on Friday 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. What are we doing next? What's on the agenda?
No. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know yet either. I don't know that we have something specifically planned out. So we will. I think we'll probably take a week off, right? And then come back. We are coming up on St. Patrick's Day.
Nope.
You don't want to do another Leprechaun?
You could do that alone.
I actually am not sure that we have anymore. I think we just. What was the last one we did? Was it like a remake?
One.
The remake Leprechaun?
Yeah, it was the WWE one that was like an hour long.
And I think we have one more, which is Leprechaun Returns. I believe. Because I don't think we did that one. That was like a 2018. Yeah, we did Leprechaun Origins, right? Which was pretty dang awful, if I remember.
Yeah, the WWE one.
And then we have Leprechaun Returns, which we've not done yet either. So
you can't make me.
I think it could be a fun conversation.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
When is St. Patrick's Day? Next Tuesday, I think. The 17th, is it? So we could do it for next week.
I'm not here to support Warwick Davis getting money.
Well, Warwick Davis is not in this movie.
I don't care.
You should be upset that he was not asked to return to this movie.
The movie was made for fucking sci-fi.
It was. Yeah, it's gonna be not good. But oh, actually, no. You know what? For it, in the trivia, it says for Leprechaun Returns, Warwick Davis was asked to reprise, or however you say, the Leprechaun, and he declined. So that probably tells you how good
was he.
He was in Back to the Hood. Let's just let that sink in. Warwick Davis was all fine with like smoking a joint or smoking like a ridiculous bong in Back to the Hood, but when Sci-Fi offered him Leprechaun Returns, he was like,
"No, thank you."
Yeah, no thanks. So
I have standards.
That's right.
He was too busy, probably dicking around with Carl Pilkington.
That's true. As for 2018, yeah, you might be right about that. He might have. It's true.
An idiot abroad. Oh God, I you know what? I missed that show. I didn't watch season 3, but like I'm just thinking about it. Like,
season 3 wasn't as good. The first 2 were definitely fun.
I remember the little animated bits in the early 2010s of watching on YouTube of not an idiot abroad, but the Ricky Gervais and the other guy Steven, whatever, and Carl, their little podcast.
Yep. So yep. All right. Well,
sorry to be off topic.
That's okay. We'll talk about it. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we won't. Who knows? We'll find out. But yeah, if you are interested in what we cover, you should subscribe to us on pretty much any podcast apps you can think of. I'm sure we're on most of them, but we have a home base at Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, stuff like that. So if you like what you hear, you should subscribe, leave us a nice review. That always helps us out. We're on Facebook and Blue Sky. search for us on there and give us a like or a follow. And you can write to us at our email address at bloodandblackrunpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to watch, and we'll definitely take that into consideration. And of course, you could donate to us on our Patreon page. Anything you donate goes back towards beer, so we appreciate that in advance. Thanks for listening to our episode. Hope you have a great Friday the 13th. A good luck Friday the 13th if you really believe in the supernatural like that. And until next time,
Take care.